The moment the priest asked if anyone objected, my heart slammed against my ribs, a caged animal desperate to escape. I stood at the altar, my tuxedo stiff and suffocating, staring at Clara. My Clara, radiant in her ivory gown, her smile a blade slicing through my chest. The church, drenched in golden light filtering through stained glass, held its breath. Her eyes locked on mine, not with love, but with a flicker of something else, guilt, perhaps, or defiance. I should have known then. I should have seen the shadow creeping across her face. But love blinds you to the cracks until they're chasms. The morning had started with a quiet joy, the kind that hums beneath your skin when you think life's finally aligned. Clara had kissed me softly in our hotel room, her lips tasting of mint and promises. "Today's our forever," she'd whispered, her fingers brushing my jaw. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We'd built 3 years together. Late-night talks about dreams, her laughter filling our tiny apartment, the way she'd curl into me during storms. But there were signs, weren't there? The late nights at work, the phone she'd tilt away when texting, the way her eyes would dart when I asked about her day. I'd chalked it up to stress, to wedding jitters. I was a fool. The ceremony unfolded like a dream I couldn't wake from. Guests filled the pews, their faces blurred into a sea of smiles and whispers. The organ's notes swelled, heavy and solemn, as Clara walked down the aisle. Her father's arm steadied her, but her gaze kept slipping to the side, to a man in the third row. Ethan. Her coworker. His tie was slightly askew, his jaw tight, like he was holding back a storm. I noticed, but I didn't see. Not yet. Vows were exchanged, her voice steady but her hands trembling as she held mine. "I promised to cherish you," she said, and I wanted to believe the tears in her eyes were for me. The priest's voice droned on, a distant hum, until that fateful question. "If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace." Silence fell, thick and suffocating. My pulse roared in my ears. Clara's fingers tightened around mine, too tight, like she was anchoring herself against something I couldn't see. Then Ethan stood. The church gasped, a collective inhale that sucked the air from the room. My stomach dropped, a stone plummeting into a void. Clara's face drained of color, her eyes wide locked on him. I turned to her, searching for an explanation, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. "Ethan, don't," she whispered, so soft I barely caught it. But I did. And it was a knife. "I can't let this happen," Ethan said, his voice low but steady, slicing through the stunned silence. Every head swiveled to him, then to me, then to Clara. My throat burned, my mind scrambling to piece together a puzzle I didn't know existed. "Clara, tell him," Ethan urged, his eyes pleading, desperate. "Tell him now or I will." The room spun. The stained glass seemed to pulse, reds and blues bleeding into each other. I looked at Clara, my voice a stranger's. "Tell me what?" Her lips parted, but no sound came. Her hands slipped from mine, cold and final. The congregation murmured, a rising tide of confusion and curiosity. My best man, Tom, shifted behind me, his hand grazing my shoulder as if to steady me. But nothing could steady me now. "Clara," I said louder, my voice cracking like thin ice. "What is he talking about?" Her silence was an answer, a scream in the quiet. I saw it then. The truth I'd ignored for months. The late-night call she'd step outside for. The way she'd laugh too brightly when I asked about Ethan, her work friend. The pieces clicked, sharp and jagged, cutting me open. Ethan took a step forward, his voice shaking but resolute. "She's been with me, James. For months. I thought she'd end it, that she'd choose you, but she didn't. She couldn't." The words landed like blows, each one heavier than the last. The congregation erupted into whispers, a swarm of bees buzzing in my skull. Clara's mother gasped, her hand clutching her husband's arm. My parents, in the front row, looked at me with pity I couldn't bear. I turned to Clara, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. "Is it true?" My voice was a raw, broken thing. She looked at me then, her eyes glistening, but not with regret, with fear. "James, I didn't mean for it to happen," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It just did. It just did." 3 words that shattered everything. I saw our life together. Our plans, our dreams, the house we'd sketched on napkins, crumble into ash. Anger surged, hot and blinding, but beneath it was a deeper ache, a grief so vast it swallowed me whole. I wanted to scream, to demand why, but my tongue felt heavy, useless. The priest cleared his throat, his face a mask of discomfort. "Perhaps we should take a moment," he began, but I cut him off, my voice steady now, cold as steel. "No. I have something to say." The church fell silent again, every eye on me. Clara's breath hitched, her hands twisting the lace of her gown. Ethan froze, his defiance faltering. I stepped closer to her, close enough to smell her perfume, the same one she'd worn on our first date. It made my chest ache. "I loved you," I said, my voice carrying to every corner of the room. "I loved you with everything I had. And you let me stand here, in front of everyone, knowing you'd betrayed me." Her tears fell now, silent and useless. I turned to the congregation, their faces a mix of shock and sympathy, and then back to her. "But I won't let you humiliate me any further." One sentence. That's all it took. "I object to this marriage because you never loved me enough to be honest." The words hung in the air, sharp and final, like the closing of a book. Clara flinched, her sob breaking the silence. Ethan looked away, his shoulders slumping. The priest stammered, unsure, but I was already moving, walking down the aisle, past the stunned faces, past the life I thought I'd have. Outside the air was crisp, the sky too blue for the storm inside me. I didn't look back. Not when Tom called my name. Not when I heard Clara's voice, faint and pleading. The betrayal wasn't just hers. It was mine for believing love could be blind enough to ignore the truth. As I walked away, the weight of her lies lifted, replaced by something sharper. The resolve to rebuild, to never again let love make me a fool.